GM. It's Friday. Dude, the best day of the week. And let me tell you who we're gonna bring, what we're bringing to the stage. This project has partnered with Universal, Fruit Loops, McDonald's, Adidas, Crocs, Rubik's Cube, G-Shock, BBC Ice Cream, Sony, Koi, Sway, Little Wayne, Little Yachty, Kyle Rich, Pharrell. Like, like, Pocky, can you tell me, is that shipping department, is it like is the conveyor belt on like super fast mode? Like, y'all just keep grinding, keep shipping, keep delivering.
Absolutely. I mean, bro, we got the treadmill on 24/7. A little Red Bull IV drip is on. We're all connected. It's just, the marathon continues, bro. Absolutely, dude. No. Yeah, dude, shipping a lot. It's been busy. It's been a busy past few weeks, especially on top of a very busy just 24/7 it feels like in Web3, but especially the past few weeks it's been very exciting for sure. So I'm pumped to be here, man.
Yeah, man. Give us like the conversation you tell your friends that are Web2 normies what you do for a living. Like, how do you tell them you work for this massive IP that's built in Web3 with these payment rails, crypto? Oh my God, it's a scam, you know? Like, oh my
Yeah,
God, are you
yeah.
sure Bitcoin's gonna do this? How do you tell them what we're doing?
Honestly, man, like I think that especially with my friends, like I grew up like with a group of kids who played like a lot of Counter-Strike. They played a lot of just like different video games like TF2 that already had like kind of like in-game skin economies. So for most of my friends, the jump from Web 2 to Web 3 isn't super difficult. I will say was definitely in a unique position last year when we partnered with McDonald's because we distributed 110 million cups across the U.S. and every single McDonald's in the U.S. And so that was a very easy moment where all of my friends were able to eventually get a cup in their hands and be like, "Oh yeah, that's us. Like that's the thing that we do." And so it was a really cool feeling, man, for sure. But it's always a little bit interesting to describe for sure. It's like there's I think Nobody Sausage is another good example where like these brands born from the internet you're always kind of like aware of them, or at least like so me and my friends are. You'll scroll on the timeline and see them, and kind of like wonder where the origin of them is. And I think that we're doing a good job of like setting roots, showing up people that like a brand born through the internet can not only succeed but can thrive, and that's through like leveraging the power of that community based on the internet. Frequently having these engaging touch points. Obviously, like the on-chain element. And having true digital ownership of your assets is what kind of like ties it all together. But yeah, man, been extremely fortunate in that route because when you can point to McDonald's and be like, "Oh yeah, that's us," it gives you kind of a pretty easy scapegoat to get through. You know what I mean? So
Totally. And I have to ask because you eloquently put this perfectly in the way that, hey, what is it that you guys are doing and how you're working? But go further to me or help me understand. Web3 has had a really tough time getting into these massive Web2 companies, McDonald's and Universal and everything. What's the difference with Doodles that you're able to say with partners that, like, hey, we are an established IP, we are an established brand, look at what we're building, look at how we're building it, look at the way that we have a community behind everything else that we're building. What's the conversation like? How are you guys able to break through where others are stuck, right? Like, what's that like? I don't want to call it advice, but like, what is that fatherly advice that you give like
for
other
sure.
projects of like, man, how do you get through this massive like hurdle that everybody's faces in Web3?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, there's a lot of different aspects of it, but I think like one of the biggest things that it really boils down to is just the art. Like this is an art style that Scott Burntos, our CEO and founder, he's been kind of perfecting and working on for I believe the past 15-20 years. So before he was even in Web3, before any of us were even any of us were even here, kind of messing around on chain. It's like an IP and art style that he's been developing basically his whole life. And I think that when you have an IP such as Doodles, and one comparison that Scott's given before is that art is the candy coat that makes tech less terrifying, right? And so having a palatable and approachable IP color palette in a world to where like Doodles is really a lens, right? So when you think of Lego and you see a Lego Star Wars movie or a Pharrell movie or a Lego The Hobbit come out, all of it really, really makes sense because it's a lens on that world and how you're telling that story. And we think about that very similar to how we like look at Doodles, to where you are able to come into our universe. We are able to tell stories with your characters, with your IP, and not only that, just due to the previous brands that we've partnered with, we've shown people that if you want to enter Web3, if you want to enter the space, this is like a safe way to do so. Like we can kind of shepherd your journey throughout this and do it in a very organic way where it doesn't feel extractive and it doesn't feel like you're launching something and the rest of the space looks at you launch it and be like, oh, you guys definitely didn't consult Web3 people, did you? And so, and throw up all of those question marks where I think we've built up this really amazing resume of these Web2 brands and these massive Web2 brands at that being able to approach us and say, hey, we want to be seen through your lens, and not only that, we want to help you. We want you to help us kind of enter this Web3 space, show us how to navigate it because you guys clearly know what you're doing. And so that's probably the biggest thing, man, is that breakthrough of that initial brand can open a lot of doors, and I think that was very clearly McDonald's for us. But on top of that, um, when you have a really really special IP, just continue to work it and continue to know like what you have in your hands, and regardless of the if that's IP, if that's tech, if it's something that you're working on a game, whatever it may be, like believe and bet on yourself. Like know when you have something special in your hands and recognize that and just work until you get the doors open. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, man. And look, man, you've been at the forefront of the community for the past year or so. And it's like, it's been a hell of a 2025, between partnerships, the token, the IPs
Yeah,
and how you're expanding to really more of an entertainment company, a game that you guys released as well. Like, man, y'all have been doing so many different things. But being at the forefront of the community is also really special, right? Because that's the
for
curating of
sure.
being able to get this free, not, I don't want to call it free marketing, but this marketing power that makes the brand go wider, bigger,
Hmm.
and helps with landing a McDonald's, right? Like, because
Yeah,
the community definitely is part of that journey with you. What's been that 2025 sum up with the community of getting here? Like, I feel like the light at the
yeah.
end of the tunnel is there, and like, but it's also like, such a bigger world that you guys are going to be entering now in 2026.
For sure. No, I mean it's community is what makes all of this special, man. Like it's an IP or a brand isn't new, right? Like Frankenstein, who we just partnered with via Universal Monsters, is a 200-year-old IP, right? So like what makes this special is the community. And like I've always said and like really try to harp this mantra that like the community is the KOL. And like when they're engaged and when you're properly kind of stoking their flames and like letting them see that their efforts aren't just going to the wayside, whether it's them hosting spaces or making art or something like that. Making sure that you're valuing that time that they're investing and taking is something that's extremely important to us. But as far as the journey, man, it's been wild. I mean, even for me, like I first bought my Doodle, I believe 3 days after Mint, and so going from the guy who like watched the project Mint to buying it to seeing the Arizona, the Rubik's cubes, the McDonald's, and all of this roll in to eventually be a part of the team, token drop, Fruit Loops, Universal. It's been a surreal moment for sure, man. And like you know, I'm really really proud because I think one of the things that the space promised really early on was taking this kind of character that you owned or this yeah, I guess character is the best word for it, that you owned and you really loved and resonated with, and taking that to the world and taking that to the masses, like via the IP, right? And for us, that's something that we still hold true to, and like we're really proud of that. For example, the Fruit Loops box that we featured when partnering with Kellogg's featured 4 holders on it, and so they were all sent like boxes for free. We hooked them up and took care of all of them in that regard. And so it's similar to McDonald's. Like, there is a Doodles coffee head and Doodles alien that is the most widely distributed NFT in the space. They were printed on 110 million McDonald's cups and distributed in every McDonald's in America, right? And so, making sure that they're able to come along for the journey with us, and again, like see those things that brought so many of us into the space to come to fruition. Is always just an exciting feeling, and of course, like you said, being able to do it with the community, being able to do it with people who have like seen this whole journey with it. journey with us makes it like everything that much sweeter for sure.
What's the call like that you guys currently have with like partners and other IPs? What's that messaging look like now? Has it changed, right? Or is it very much now gotten more aggressive to say to other partners and other people, even Web3 maybe, right? That we want to open up the doors, collaborate, work with, bring other communities together. What's that
Yeah.
messaging like now?
I mean, it's been great, man. Like I think that to your point, like about what the community can unlock, we actually premiered a film at Toronto International Film Festival last year. And that what that opened was so many doors, it's ridiculous. Because I think one of the things that really fascinated some of these Web2 friends and some of these people from outside the space is that you have your main character half, right? And you also have characters voiced by people like Coi Leray and Sway Lee and all these famous artists. But the biggest response throughout that entire premiere was when other holders were showed on the screen. And like people erupted in cheers. People were like, "Oh, that's my friend on the big screen, dude. Let's go. That's sick." And like those brands took that with them. They were like, "Wait, why? That's not even a main character. Why is everyone so stoked about this scene?" And so, to your point, like being able to take that and that catapult into new opportunities. The same thing happens with partnerships, man. Like there's a majority of our partnerships at this point are inbound. And Scott has said a few times that the sum of the partnerships needs to be greater than the parts that make it. Otherwise, it's a transaction, right? And so making sure that we've been like really specific who we're partnering with. It's a really good cultural fit. It's a fit that makes a ton of sense for us. It's something that's been really really top of mind. But to your point, man, like they're inbound. It's exciting as ever, and like it's always crazy to see where what happens when you can just get one door open, right? Because if you can get that one door open, there's a really really good chance if you can force your way through it, there's like three on the other side, right? And so it's also interesting to see that happen in real time as we're talking to some of these people, some things that have gone super successful, where it's like, dude, we got to double down on this. How do we figure out more? And so it's definitely a very exciting time partnership wise for sure, man.
That good old saying of you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? I think
Exactly, bro.
you kind of have to make sure you're taking the shots and finding out, where you're going to break through. And I think that's just the beauty of all this space. I think like, we're seeing regulation, we're seeing, the world right now look and understand what crypto is, understand Bitcoin, understand the blockchain and what it actually is here to actually do, right? The actual technology. It's starting to shift away from what Bitcoin as a currency, right? And it's now
Yeah.
shifting it away to now, hey, okay, what are these payment rails? What is it like that you guys could power? Oh my God, transparency, and it lives and it's transparent with the blockchain. Like, these are the things that essentially we set out. We lost in the Web3 space the right wording for things, right? I always like to say in
Yeah.
Web3 like to complicate things for no reason. Well, we did that with the words NFTs, the word Web3, and all these
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But we're now here where I think it's safe to say it's like digital collectibles, and these digital
Yeah.
collectibles are literally on McDonald's and Fruit Loops, and who knows where next. I mean, Universal is going to be a whole different door that gets opened up, and that future looks really really bright. We shifted and talked a little bit about this, but how does DreamNet all fit into the storytelling? How does DreamNet now fit into the plans that you guys are building?
Yeah, for sure. So DreamNet is actually a bit of a sunsetted idea or project now because we first announced it and it was something that we were really really excited about and to catch people up on it. DreamNet was essentially meant to be sort of like an agentic AI storytelling platform, right? Where you could launch agents, they would be able to interact with each other. You can like program stories within them, and those stories would be shared amongst those other agents, like very quickly building out like a very dense lore rich world, right? um, and so after some reflection with the team and after kind of like really looking at like what most people were asking for and like kind of getting down to like what is the core of this that people are really excited about. And the one thing that we came back to consistently was just image and video generation. Like that is the one thing through and through that if someone were to come up to me and I was like, "What can I do for you right now? I can give you anything in the world from Doodles." They would be like, "I want to be able to do the Doodles art style. I can't draw, but I really want to be able to make like art that looks like bird toast, right?" And so with that being said, with the Sunset of DreamNet, we've actually been working really, really hard, harvesting kind of the best parts from that build. So it wasn't time waste or anything like that. Harvesting the best aspects of that build, and plugging it into Doodles AI, which is a new kind of product that we're teeing up when we're launching. We'll probably talk more about it later on. Don't want to get too much into it, but it's answering exactly that, right? Like it's taking that moment of reflection and being like, what does the community really want? What do we think is going to make people the absolute most excited? And it was image to image video generation, so you can like quickly whip up memes, text to image, and then text to video, right? And so it's like, okay, like let's line that up and like let's work really really hard and just sprint toward that. And so that's kind of one of our top shelf endeavors right now that we're working really hard on. And if you actually head to the Doodles Twitter account, you'll be able to see some of the more recent examples, as well as burnt toast. I think there's a one of my favorites that we've dropped recently is this like still of the woman walking on a runway, and then it's like you get to see the image where it's essentially doodle-fied, and then it's a video of her walking, and like it's just nuts, man. Especially because like one thing that people have always said about doodles in the space is that like whatever else is going on is that like the art is undeniable. Like that's the one commonality that everyone comes back to, where it's like this could be happening, whatever it could be, but the art, I love that. The art is sick, right? And so making sure that we're leaning into that, and again taking those best parts that people are most excited for was some of those top priority for us. So that's kind of the recent endeavors, and that's where we're lined up. Yeah, exactly, man. It's incredible though, and so it's really really exciting. And again, like I think that taking it back to the community, right? Like we talked earlier about how like community is the KOL. They are going to be the loudest voice and the biggest supporter for you, and so that can't be a one-way street though, right? Like you can't just be like, all right guys, here's the thing, help us make it
Dude,
bigger.
go go do work.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's not how it works, right? It's like you need to make something that like people are really excited about. You need to make something that like people are asking for. And so, there, like I said, there was that moment of reflection where it was like, dude, we're maybe we're making it too complicated. Everybody really wants this, so like let's just make a product in this lane that's just undeniable and give it to everyone. And I think it's especially interesting because I don't know if we've ever seen, an IP token or an IP brand kind of similar to Doodles be able to unlock mass proliferation in that way, because like you really start to quickly understand the flywheel if it's like a brand partnership comes in, it's announced with Fruit Loops, the community is able to take this AI tool and create mass amounts of Fruit Loops content, on top of just like whatever normal Doodles content they want to make on top of it. The UGC from that generated it's high quality, very very polished art that hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, are posting on the timeline to rally around this campaign. And I think brands will look at that and very quickly be like, oh, this is nuts, right? And you kind of get an understanding of like how the pieces will kind of fall together and kind of like what we're thinking about or how we're thinking about it at least. So
Yeah, dude, like as a gamer and coming from a gaming on Solana, you look at like UGC and it's like, one of the greatest things in our space, and you look at what Doodles AI could be, and then you kind of like start thinking about like what Roblox and Netflix, but powered by a community, like all these things in like this kind of like soup, right? Because it's essentially kind of like what this is kind of really bringing this IP, the community, letting them build and letting them do. And you guys even teased the game before, the Telegram game, right? The Kyle game, and which was like kind of like a jetpack joyride type like style game, right? And like we know that could open up so many more doors, right? Because gaming itself is just a whole nother world, right? Within the entertainment industry as well, that we look at it like
for sure.
side by side and we say, oh my God, like what can this be? When you look at this IP and you look at Pudgy Penguins, right? Like I think like hats off to those guys as well, right? Like
For
the
sure.
plushies, the IP, the game itself right now, and the
They're
success
cooking.
the
They're
game has
cooking,
had.
dude. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And it's like, man, Doodles is very much like lining itself up to be perfectly molded for working out in the gaming industry as well. And you look at
Yeah.
Clanosaurus, you look at all these massive titles within the Web3 space that have really iconic IP and have really cool games that they're in the works, right? Clanosaurus working with Gameloft, the biggest names in the space, and what they're
I
building
know.
with that IP. And that IP is super entertaining. but you guys as well, right? Like you guys have been able to, like, let's just say, take the partnership road and, blown that out of the like water, and now you guys are not working on this Doodles AI, and it starts making me think like, man, where can this really go? What can it
Yeah,
actually do? How can this like firepower Web3 as well? And yeah, just thoughts in my head, because I think like the road for you guys is ahead is really really bright, and I'm just really excited for what's gonna come. As you mentioned,
for
this
sure.
community as a KOL thing.
No, for sure, man. Yeah, it's extremely exciting. It's a and more so on top of that, like I feel like there's something to be said for like doing the like things like the hard way, right? And I think that like Doodles has like admittedly had some like hiccups, whether it was like DreamNet, maybe it was like for sure the right product to launch or like kind of the right way to roll that out. That being said, like I'm really really proud of like how we've like hit a really solid stride as people have been able to see I think on the timeline. And really hit the ground running as the past few months. So really excited on the momentum that we've been able to gain there. But to your point about gaming, like it's interesting, man, because I think that uh, gaming is one of the most like palatable ways to be introduced to a new IP, right? Like you can very quickly, I would argue, at least, and like maybe this is just me because you bring up Game Loft earlier, and I had to hit up Cab when they announced it because I have like vivid memories of me playing like I think the game was called like Asphalt 8 or something like that, made by Gameloft, and it was like this racing game, and I just like have vivid memories of me being like 9 years old playing that game on like my iPod Touch. And anyway, I just thought that was a funny story. But yeah, man, no, it's been really really exciting to gain the momentum and again like see all these other people crushing it, right? Like I think that anytime that any of these other brands or projects are able to prove that next use case, that next thing that brands in the space can accomplish, it just breaks down the barrier for everyone else, right? Like I think that it's really easy, especially like to in this space to maybe get caught up in like the PvP aspects. And not don't get me wrong, like I'm a competitive guy, right? So like I'm still trying to win, right? But like the PvP aspects where it's just like, dude, Pudgy's crushing it, bro. I think I saw this morning that they had like 900,000 downloads on their Pingu Clash, and then like the game that's on the App Store, and then like Kalanos, like you said, Gameloft. It's just I don't know, man. It's an extremely exciting time, and especially being like someone who grew up gaming, and like I said, that gaming is what made Web3 like very quickly like understandable for me. Like if I hadn't spent every $20 I got from cutting grass when I was like 14 on like Counter Strike or Steam gift cards to buy Counter Strike skins, then it may be like a little bit more complicated, right? Um, but for me, it made it super palatable. And so again, to see those kind of worlds collide, where it's like what made Web3 super understandable, existing Web3 companies come together. And not just come together in like a small way, but like really making big strides in gaming is just always like super exciting for me. Like last night, I was actually checking out the PSG1, which is like kind of like the mobile like handheld game console that you guys have rolling out. I believe that's like shipping soon. It's just like, dude, that's rad, man. I love to see any sort of like gaming endeavors in the space. So I'm not sure if I answered your question. You just made a bunch of gears turn, and I just started yapping. So sorry, bro.
Nah, man, dude, I think like you have hardware devices like the Seeker phone, right? You have the PSG1, this gaming handheld. You're having IP success in Web3. If you start like zooming out, right? Like we've been through a lot in Web3. Man, like it's crazy to say that we've only been in this space for a couple years, because it feels like I've been in the space for 15 or 20 years. And like I said this jokingly yesterday, and I say it again now, like when I go to like Disneyland or a theme park, like I hop on a roller coaster and I'm like, yo, don't even put the seatbelt on. Like I just don't put it on, because I want to
Just
feel
run it,
something,
bro.
right?
Yeah,
Because like being in Web3, man, it's taken like everything out of me, the emotions, right? And so
yeah.
when you look at like, and we're having this conversation, right? That is so real in the sense of like, how much have we progressed? Where we are today, like it seems like it's nothing. Like it seems like but if you sit down and think about it, like holy shit, Universal, holy shit, Fruit Loops, McDonald's. You talk
Yeah,
about
dude.
Pudgy Penguins, 900,000 downloads. You talk about Clanosaurus, Gameloft, the largest one, right? One that and then you think about what Web3 can do, and start thinking about, hey, Steam gift cards, Counter Strike Marketplace, Black Market Marketplace. one that you don't know what the hell who you're sending money to, if you're getting a real asset, and then you start puzzling what this is here, and you're just like, holy shit, like why hasn't this been rolled out earlier? Why hasn't it like evolved?
Dude.
And honest, like the biggest thing that I always say is just like, gaming itself in the Web3 space has taken its own hits, right? It's gone through its own truths and tribulations, and that's because sometimes development of these games do take a long time, funding of these games take a long time, marketing and all that sense. And we've seen things fall apart, and also the common bad actors in the space. But I think that we're also now finally seeing some games have success, like a Pudgy Penguins, like Off the Grid, like many other games that are even like Aurora, BR1, Star Atlas, some of these Mixed Mob, like some of these games have been around for quite some time, and we're seeing them now have true success and revenue, right? Like
Yeah.
revenue producing. And so like now things are like, oh my God, like it's actually here. We're
Yeah,
just
yeah, finally,
kind of
dude,
like
we did it.
yeah, it's like we kind of need that like CPR shock to the body of like, wake up, bro. We
Yeah,
made it. We
exactly.
made
It's
it. Like,
time.
like it's
Yeah.
finally getting adopted. The president of the United States is talking about crypto on national TV. What else
Right,
do you
boys, to
want?
get up, we gotta go.
Yeah. But man, it's been really great catching up and chatting with you. We kind of hit it very very lightly, but gaming itself, the game Kyle's journey, the Telegram game, the success that game had. Is there thoughts? Is there this is the alpha question if you're able to answer, but what is there expansions to it? Is there things that you guys are very much looking at or wanting to say, hey, explore? Or is there even a call to action to the community that, hey, if there is a community member that is a game developer, come reach to us in DMs, let's talk about something, like let's
Yeah.
figure something out.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, it's funny you say that because there's a community member in our community. His name's Ash, and previously we hosted like a little bit of like a Farcade kind of like game jam night. And he actually got like a group of people together, and he helped like 20 people in the Doodles community like vibe code a game, which was just like fucking sick. So shout out to Ash. I'm not even sure if he's in here, but what a guy for that. To your question though, I mean, like I think that for right now, we're letting Kyle kind of focus on his escape still. I definitely think that like there's a lot of improvements or updates and just like new features that could be added to that game. But as of right now, we're in spooky season. We're full heads down on Universal and making sure everything with that goes just as perfect as it can. But to your question though, man, like it's like I said earlier, like I think that gaming is one of the most palatable ways to fall in love and find a new IP. I think that the Doodles color palette, in whatever kind of, if you wanted to give it in an app store kind of icon, if you wanted to give it a game cover, whatever you wanted to give it, I think would be it's very, very easy for it to draw eyeballs just through the characters, through the color palette. And I think there's a very strong world in which like Doodles could have a lot of success in gaming. Uh, that being said, right now, it's not something that we're not necessarily not super focused on, but again, with Universal Fruit Loops, the AI model, and everything else going on, definitely want to make sure that we're bundling that down properly. And so, yeah, to your point, man, like working on updates for Kyle's adventure, but probably a little bit later than sooner, just given all the chaos going on right now. You know what I'm saying? So
Dude, it's safe to say, or it's okay to say that you guys are just building and shipping, and it's the proof in the pudding. So if it takes a little
proof is
longer,
in the
no
pudding,
worries.
bro.
Like, yeah, I know we
Exactly.
we know that you're not just sitting down and playing video games all day. Okay, we know that you're actually working and you're actually
Let's
putting in
go.
the time and the hours. So,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
it's great to hear that. But the Universal partnership, I think, is one that's huge too as well, and I think that opens up the door. Halloween's around the corner. What a great time to be able to partner with Frankenstein. I mean, I think that just makes so much sense, and I think that as the IP grows with these iconic names, the word Web3 starts kind of like going away, kind of in the sand. Like
Yeah.
it's no longer needed to be used, but we will know and understand that when that timing comes of how is this powering certain things, just like how like cell phones, we called them NFCs that you could tap to pay, and then it went to
Yeah.
like Samsung and Apple Pay, and now people are like, oh, you want to tap your phone? And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I want to tap my phone. And they're like, okay, tap it. And
Yeah.
now, and that progression, right, of like NFC to where it is today, right? Like same thing here, right? Like the word Web3 will probably leave somewhat or leave or whatever, and we will go into of, hey, I own the asset. That is my
Yeah.
IP. That is what I purchased. I own that. Here it is, record number one, two, whatever. And it's like, wow,
Exactly.
okay, like, and I could sell this. Great. Like, those are the things, those are the conversations that get really excited for, because that future is just there. It's like I said, it's that wake up of like, yeah, we're here, but even further, those conversations are happening. And as I attend in real life events, as I attend things, it's also really cool to hear how many people don't live on Twitter, right? And they're actually in Web3, like building outside of other socials. And as you start seeing the Doodle IP in other ways of socials, and you're seeing it on McDonald's, and you're seeing it on physical cups, and then people, pushing it on Facebook of like, hey, what's this thing right here? Cool. That's like that power that gets magnetized, like that. I'm just like, y'all are not ready. I mean, like it's already here,
For
but it's just
sure.
going to get bigger and bigger as people realize what this is.
No, for sure, man. Like and again, like I think that like the rate at which like some of these Web3 brands are just like growing and expanding is just like unreal. And so to your point about like you know, the moment being here, it really, really kind of is, man. Like, and it's extremely exciting to see, and like it's exciting to see, especially just because like there's like a lot of times that I think the space can be critiqued. There's a lot of things that maybe can frustrate people, but I think a lot of the like it's really easy to get caught in those weeds, right? Where like if you take a step back, like, dude, in some of these cases, we're talking about like 4-year-old companies, right? And like I'll speak from our perspective, like, right, we're a 4-year-old company, born on the internet, born through blockchain technology, born into Web3, right? And like we were just handed a 200-year-old IP. So it's like, oh shit, okay, like we're not like we're like transcending, and like the thing I was trying to explain to people in like the water cooler, which is like a kind of like internal kind of like regroup kind of community thing that we host in Discord with our holders, is that like we're beginning to like transcend like entertainment. Like we're talking about like cultural history. Like this is like kind of how like defined like how modern stories were told and shared. Like Frankenstein, I believe, was created in 1818 or something like that, right? And so like as easy it is to get maybe like caught in the weeds of the space or get caught in XYZ, I think just like remembering how unbelievably fast a lot of these brands are going, and like how much they're accomplishing in the short time that they kind of been around. To your point, like taking that step back, it's hard not to be like, dude, this place is nuts. I want to go work 1,000 times harder and run through every brick wall that's in front of me. You know what I'm saying? It's incredible. So that step back is so key, man. I feel like that it's so important for staying, healthy within the space and active, and making sure you stick around. You know what I mean? Because again, those weeds are easy to get caught in, bro.
Yeah, and I think like I'm okay with projects failing as long as they're trying, right? Like I
For
think that's
sure.
the biggest thing. As long as you're trying, and I love that, like you even said it earlier, right? For me, I didn't realize that DreamNet sunset. I thought it was DreamNet that turned into Doodles AI, right? Like that. So
Well,
so for
it's
me,
the best parts of
yeah,
DreamNet
but
harvested to Doodles AI. So technically, but we just kind of like said DreamNet, over, it's
yeah,
done. Axed Doodles AI with the parts taken. But yeah, go ahead.
but what I think is is great about it is that you guys recognized it, you guys iterated, you guys tried, you realized what product market fit looks like, and you said, "Hey, okay, guys, quick, adjust, adjust." Like it wasn't like, "No, no, man, let's just keep going with the ship till
Yeah,
it sinks," because like too
yeah,
many teams and projects out there are just like, "Man, like no, we're not letting go, we're going." And I'm like, guys, like
yeah,
you gotta listen, you gotta see, you gotta sometimes try different things. And I think that's just so important, that if you do want to break through the walls, you need to be able to say, hey, what am I listening, why am I going to go break through a wall, or else you ain't breaking through that wall.
exactly, bro. Yeah, 100%. No, it's yeah, it's interesting. Like I'm so here for all that stuff, man. Like I think that like one of the most important aspects of the space is like just letting people go experiment and fail. Like I think that like genuinely like there's a lot of builders who should have the right to just like go try stuff, right? Because I think that like that is so much of like how this space was able to expand and grow into new sectors and grow into new areas that could, you know, incorporate Web3 tech, blockchain tech like deeper into our everyday lives, which is something I think that like we all want, right? And so yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, man. But like, yeah, taking that step back and like giving people room to fail, giving people the ability to experiment on chain, I think is something that's extremely important. Even with like, you know, we've seen the strategy tokens pop up a lot lately. I think bands, I believe, has been like kind of the go-to for the Solana ecosystem. I think I saw Mad Lads pop up one in Klanos, right? And like you know, obviously like Doodles were looking into something along those lines as well. But like for me, a lot of people are asking like what kind of my response is, and I have to be very clear where it's like I have Pocky the employee, where I'm not good, probably not going to mark on any of it right now, but Pocky the person who really loves Web3 and really loves the space. I think it's sick, dude. I love to see people just being like, "Oh, what if we did this and we connected here and we created this and like this then scooped this floor and like the supply crunch to this." It's just like, yeah, dude, that's rad. So it's just like giving people to experiment on chain and giving people room to fail, I think is something that's extremely, extremely important in the space. Granted, you know, I'm not giving the big old thumbs up to Ruggers to go and just kind of finesse people. So obviously stay safe out there. But definitely, yeah, let's let people experiment, man. Let's let people fail and fail openly and like encourage each other to figure out why it failed. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, I'm jumping into this community Discord now. I gotta, you gotta
It's time,
strategies, all of
bro.
it. I'm in, man, dude. Wanted to talk about that like as our last thing here is community events. Like, you know, what is it that you guys are running? How are you guys staying connected with the community? How can like what like I gotta ask you the $1 million question. When Counter-Strike game night with us? You know what I'm saying? Like when Doodle in the Doodles Discord, we put up some prize pools and we you know, battle it out, you know?
Bro, if y'all wanted to run a Solana Gaming versus Doodles community Counter-Strike night, I'd be so down for that, bro. Dude, that would be a banger. We might have to run that.
Someone better clip this ASAP. Someone better go tell Scott what is about to happen right now because
Yeah.
fuck, he just unleashed the beast, bro. You don't understand the
Let's
Solana
get
Gaming
it.
Discord. Those guys are true sweats, man.
I feel like I'm a little scared after I said it, bro. I was like, oh, dude, what box did I just open? But you know what? We're riding. Like I'm back in Doodles. We're here to cook. Let's run the fade, dude. We got to get a Doodles v
Hey,
Solana gaming game going.
just make sure that when somebody hears that, they just make sure you tell them, hey, can you rewind 30 seconds before? Because I was just preaching about people trying and failing. Well,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
just
yeah. Like
trying.
there's no,
Okay.
yeah, exactly, bro. Like make sure you include that context in there. That's needed.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I'd love to hear like, you know, what those community events are, what's happening in the Doodles Discord. What do the next three
Yeah.
months look like so that we can make sure that we support as an organization, but as Web3 fans?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that as of right now, there's not a ton, I think, as far as like the LLC calendar. There's a few kind of events to close out the year that we're eyeing up that you know, we'll kind of like put more information out about here shortly. But as far as like other events going on, we have a community ambassador. His name is James Breck, who's in the EU's frequently hosting community events, frequently hosting opportunities for people to kind of hang out. Ippy is another one who is in our Discord and is kind of like is an OG of OG, dude. He's been hosting like gaming nights and streaming like live streaming his games, whatever he's been playing for like I think like 2 or 3 years now. So big shout out to Ippy. He is always throwing down some games. So if you guys are interested, you could definitely tap in with him. And then additional ambassador whose name is Cupcat, who really kind of helps us in the Asia region. You know, host events at Token 2049. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. She helped us host something with a bunch of Doodles holders. They got like custom baseball jerseys, and it was really tight. So wherever you are in the world, we for sure have an ambassador or a touch point for you to kind of tap in with and meet and kind of get into the Doodles ecosystem. So
Whoever
definitely
the
worth doing that for sure.
whoever the ambassadors in Florida, the United States of America, let me know. All right. Make sure you send me that
I got
ambassador's
you, bro.
contact information because I will
I got
personally come
you.
to their house to pick up a jersey. Oh
Let's
man.
go.
But
Exactly.
Pocky, man, I appreciate you taking the time today. It's really cool to hear where Doodles is. It's really awesome to hear that you guys are very much open of, hey, how can we also collaborate? Love the game night aspect of it. That's what community is really about. That's actually how you really are able to help with the IP get more and more, right? You never know who's playing a game. I always say this. I've been playing, like, especially so much lately, that I've been connected with people that I'm just like, wait, you're who? At where? Like, really?
Dude,
Okay.
have you seen that video of the guy finding out he's playing with like Luka Doncic
Yeah.
in the Overwatch video where he's like, "What do you do for work?" And he's like, "I play for the Dallas Mavericks." And the guy's like, "What?" And it's such a funny clip. So to your point, dude, never know who you're throwing down with, bro.
Never know. And so I love that. But any final words? How do we keep the plug? Is Twitter, Discord, what are they? So that everybody that's listening, first time listeners, they could actually go in and follow you guys and get involved in the Discord.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, absolute best place to get tapped in is on X. So just at Doodles, throw on post notifications. As we were talking about earlier, we've got some really exciting stuff coming on the pipeline with Universal Monsters. So yeah, drop a follow on X, throw on post noties, hit us up on Instagram as well. As there's like a good bit of short form content that comes out of there, and a lot of more kind of like maybe Web 2 focused kind of mimetic posts that live over there. So it's interesting to see kind of the duality of the post and how they're kind of taken on each platform. But yeah, X is the mainstay. Hop in Discord. Everything is just at the Doodles. So yeah, appreciate the time, man. It's been fantastic.
And make sure they tag you in the Discord.
Exactly, exactly. Tag me. Let me get those pings going. Let me know that you're here to join the Doodles team for the Counter Strike game night versus
There you
Solana
go.
Gaming, and we'll get it going, bro.
Say no more. Say no more, man. Well, brother, it's been awesome. We're gonna run it back. We'll make sure we run it back. Break points at the end of the year. Man, massive
Let's get
news is
it.
gonna be coming out there. I'm sure there's stuff in the works. No alpha here, but hey, awesome having you on the show, Punky. Take care, man.
Yeah, yeah. Talk soon, guys.